Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. The Ministry of Public Service has been holding a training session with the Directorate of Industrial Training on procurement issues. Now, the training is expected to ease the nature of procurement in the government. To help us explain the nature of the training, we have SAVIA MUGWANYA, the Commissioner of the Civil Service College. Welcome to NTV at ONE.
Thank you very much.
First of all, we would like to know, Savia, why was this training necessary?
Yes, we have Civil Service College just undertaken a training, a 3-day training for the staff of the Directorate of Industrial Training. We have had the heads of department. We have had the members of the contracts committee. We have had the procurement unit itself undertake this training. This training has been necessary because you realize that besides wage, the biggest expenditure point for government in most of our entities is procurement. And one of the things that we have noted as a Civil Service College during the training needs assessments that we have undertaken is that you realize that procurement, public procurement, contract management and disposal of public assets, perceptionally we think is for the procurement units alone. But that is a function that the entire entity must be able to understand and embrace.
Right.
We must understand the framework, the legal and policy framework within which the functions of procurement, contract management, disposal of public assets is undertaken. We must understand the roles of everybody in the institution. What is their role? Because we all have a role. All institutions, all persons in the entities have a role in that process. And then we must understand what are the fundamentals of having those roles effectively undertaken. What are the procedures? What are the implications of not having everybody perform their role? So the purpose of this training was to get the Directorate of Industrial Training to get on board and understand, because they're a critical institution, a directorate in the Ministry of Education and Sports, that stands for standards and quality in the business, vocational and technical education training. And you realize that the business, vocational, technical education and training is now a critical sector where we are having a lot of reskilling and being undertaken. So that means the functionality of that directorate is really vibrant. And that means it is fundamental that they are very aware of what it takes for them to effectively procure whatever services, works they need, effectively supervise how they are being utilized, and at the end of the day understand the implications of not doing it. At the end of the day, there will not be value for money.
Someone who is watching NTV at ONE is wondering right now, you would have done it easily by hiring experts in procurement. Instead, you decided to go ahead with this training. What is the key objective of that same training?
You realize that government entities have defined roles. So the Directorate of Industrial Training, like many other entities of government, has a unit specifically designated to undertake this function. On the other hand, government has set out the Civil Service College, Uganda, as the in-service training institution of government. That means this is the institution that is required or mandated to build the capacities of public officers in their respective functions, the generic functions plus the specific functions. So the Civil Service College is simply fulfilling the mandate that government has given to it to build capacities of the officers to be able to effectively execute their roles. So we couldn't hire consultants because we already have defined officers who are spearheading this role, but I have said that everybody in the entity has a role. So the heads of department must understand this, and it's important that this is done from within. It makes it more practical because the Civil Service College focuses on practical orientation of the business we do.
SAVIA MUGWANYA, thank you very much for having made the time to speak to NTV at ONE.
Thank you very much, and I'm glad to be here.
Indeed.